Hello students, this is Dr. Arbogast. I'm going to walk you through part A of our artificial intelligence, drafting your handout for our interactive handout lesson plan. And this is going to be my example right here. I am going to work from the perspective of a kindergarten area. So I've already filled out my lesson plan and I'm just going to explain it to you. And then I will walk through creating the artificial intelligence prompt on ChatGTP. The title of my lesson plan is going to be counting from 1 to 10. My content area is going to be mathematics. And I put my name here as the author. I also have included the grade level, which is kindergarten, as you can see here. My academic standard is count to answer how many questions about as many as 20 things arranged in a line, so on and so forth. So I did select my Common Core standard here, and I placed that in there. And this is what I'm basing my entire lesson plan on and my handout. So in my idea of helping them learn how to count how many, the big idea is to recognize groups of objects as numbers, such as 2 rabbits. So my handout is all going to be focused on the numbering, counting groups of objects that you can recognize as a number. So since I'm doing elementary, I am going to focus on this box to the left. And if you were doing middle school, high school, your project would be over here. So again, the content area, the Common Core standards would all be based on your subject and grade level. So make sure that it's appropriate. And then you have a little bit different types of questions to answer, since your middle school, high school project would be a little bit different and would be more of a handout as opposed to an elementary. In this case, I'm doing a storybook. So just know that there are differences based on your subject level and grade. So in my case, I'm creating a storybook that's teaching kindergartners how to count from 1 to 10, recognize that groups can be represented by a number. So in my storybook, I just came up with, I want 3 aliens. That's my characters in my story. They're going to be coming to Earth to count animals. And the general story idea is that these 3 aliens are coming to Earth to look at the different animals that we have here on Earth and count them. And they just happen to be in groups of 1 to 10. So that's the very first section. Now we're going to get into the creating the prompt for our ChatGTP generative AI bot that we're going to use to create our story. Now we can create stories ourselves, but again, this is a way that you can very quickly use artificial intelligence, AI, generative AI, such as ChatGPT, to quickly create a story. And then you can put your own personal touches on it. And that's really what we're trying to show here, is that ChatGTP and the artificial intelligence is not the be all end all. It's a good starting point. It saves you a lot of time. So there are 4 pillars that are required to create a good prompt in generative AI. The first is task. The second is format. The third is voice and tone. And the fourth is context. So let's go through each one. And I've already created my prompt just to save time you watching me type. So the task, that is, what do you want the AI bot to do? For example, do you want it to write a story? Do you want it to rewrite something that you've written? Do you want to have it rephrase something? Maybe recommend some ideas for assignments, or recommend publications for a research project. Maybe it's give feedback on a paper you've written. It could also be compare something. Compare these 2 outlines. Compare these 2 research topics. Compare these two theories. In my case, I wanted to write a story to teach counting groups of animals from 1 to 10. So that's the first piece. The second pillar is format. So what output do you want to see? Not only the output, but how much output do you want to see? For example, do you want to see the style of like a storybook, an essay, a script, a summary? Maybe you want an outline of a chapter. If it is something where you need a limit, you can say limit it to 1,000 words, limit it to 3 paragraphs. Telling that bot how much you want and the style that you want it in is very important. I put make it a storybook style limited to between 1,000 to 2,000 words. If that looks like it's too much or not enough when I read through it, it didn't give it enough words to teach my objective, then I can always change that. But I need to know what I said the first time. So now let's go to voice and tone, pillar number 3. So what style or language do you want? Some examples could be, I want it to be in academic language, in formal language, semi-formal, casual. You can even pick the voice of someone. Write an essay in the style of William Shakespeare that explains Othello. You can also include different modifiers, such as make it funny, make it serious, make it positive, make it enthusiastic, make it sarcastic. Any of those different modifiers you can put in there, see what it looks like, and then you can always change them. And then the biggest thing is context. What is the setting or overall context for this issue, this problem, this output? In my case, it's going to be a forest. It could also be something like in a historical context, in a pop culture context, in a mathematical context. This you can again play around with to just allow the chatbot to understand the context of the question you're asking it or the task you're asking it to do. This one is a little bit harder to understand until you start getting some output, and then you can see what ChatGTP is giving you and adjust accordingly. So my setting is 3 aliens that come to Earth to look for and count groups of animals. The animals should be forest animals that are in groups representing 1 to 10. So putting it all together, this is what I'm going to try first. Write a story appropriate for kindergarten age children about 3 aliens that come to Earth to teach them to count groups of forest animals from 1 to 10. The animals should be forest animals that are in groups representing 1 to 10. Limit the story to 1,000 to 2,000 words. So I think I have everything in there. And I think, though, I'm going to put a modifier in here. I'm going to say write a funny story. And then it says additional regenerative prompts. So first let's copy and paste what we have here. So I'm going to copy that. And I already have opened up ChatGPT. If you haven't done this already and created an account, please make sure you watch the video and create the account. So you can stop here, go do that, and then come back. So what you're going to do is once you've gotten into ChatGTP, you're going to create a new chat, which I have done here. And in the message, we're going to paste the prompt that we have created. So Control C copies, Control V pastes. So I'm going to put this in and I'm going to click send message. And we're going to see what ChatGTP comes up with. So you can see now it's creating my story. You can see how fast this comes across. So this story, let me make it bigger so we can read it. Looks a little long for what I want, but let's just read the first paragraph. So, once upon a time in a galaxy far, far away, three friendly aliens named Zippy, Zoom, and Zing were zooming through space in their spaceship. They were on a mission to visit Earth and to teach the little Earthlings something exciting, counting. So, my job now is to not just say, oh, this is great, everything's perfect. I need to read through and make sure that it's teaching the things that I want it to do. So I'm not going to read the whole story, but that would be what I want to do. I want to go through, make sure that the story is appropriate. I want to make sure that it's in the right context that I was looking for. I want to make sure that there's no bias in here, that if there's anything factual that should be in here, that I have checked the factual nature of this. So let's go back. We've got our story. We're just going to go back over here and say, are there any additional regenerative prompts? So what that means is when you go to ChatGTP and it creates the story, at the very bottom you have some choices. The button here, when you hover over it, says copy. And anytime you copy something from ChatGTP, you want to make sure you use this copy button. You don't want to just highlight, because what it does is creates a background tint of gray that when you paste it into a document, it has the gray background. So if you do copy this, you want to make sure you use the copy button. There's also a regenerate button. So without changing the prompt, you can just say, try again. And then there's a, nah, I don't really like this. So you can tell it that you didn't like what it did. But in our case, we're going to just change the prompt a little bit. What's nice about artificial intelligence is I don't have to restate the whole prompt. It knows that this is the prompt after this story. So I can simply say, regenerate using jungle animals instead of forest animals, and limit the words to 1,000. Also, change the name of the aliens. And then I just simply hit enter. Now, it understands. It's taking my last prompt. It even gave me a title. And as you can see, it is shorter. Let's take a quick look. So the first one was called The Cosmic Counting Adventure. The second one is The Jungle Counting Expedition. So this one is a little different. In a distant corner of the universe, three jovial aliens, Sparkle, Glint, and Twinkle, embarked on an extraordinary journey to Earth. Their mission, to teach the little Earthlings the wonders of counting using the vibrant creatures of the jungle. So now we have different alien names. It's limited to 1,000 words. So again, I can keep changing this as I go through and review, but to keep the video short, I'm just going to go ahead and copy this. And the next thing it tells me to do is to do the verify and edit, which again, I'm not going to go through specifically here in this example, but read through each of these and it'll tell you what exactly you're supposed to look for in the storybook. And then if you're middle school, high school, you will have to cite some sources to show that you have really reviewed the factual information. And then it says create your Google Doc. When I have my Google Drive open, I am in my drive and I'm going to look for my EDU 120 folder, which is right here because that's the one that's shared. I shared it with my instructor, and now anything I put in here, my instructor can see because I've shared the folder. So I'm going to create a new Google Doc. and create and share. And I am going to go back here real quick. And it says to open the Google Doc, you're going to put a title of this storybook and my name under the title. So let's do that. So my title is The Jungle Counting Expedition, and my name, and then I want to make sure that I make this a title, and I want to make this my subtitle. And then under here is where we already hit the copy button. So that's this right here. So we hit the copy, and then we go over here and we paste, which is Control V, or you can right click and click paste. And there is my storybook. So the title is in here. I'm just going to delete that since I already typed it out. So the other thing you need to do is make sure that you click up in the top left corner, and it should take the title of your storybook and put it up there. If you want to change it, you're welcome to do that. But this looks good. That is all you need to do for part A of the project. And when you move on to part B, what you'll be doing is reviewing your story in a different way. You're going to be reviewing your story or your handout if you're middle school, high school, with the UDL principles. So, how can I select resources, images, videos, links that we can add to this story to help with those UDL principles? So that's the second piece to this. But right now, you have finished this piece, and good luck going on to part B.